Alrighty, look at that. Clicker ready to go. Listen, I want to start off by saying that I'm blessed to have shared the stage with two amazing women and amazing stories. And how many of you guys have been in the Bold Talks like during the whole conference? Have you been here quite a bit? Perfect, right? Fantastic. And hopefully this is kind of a wrap up. We kind of keep inspired and everything else, but I'm humbled to be a part of this. So I'm going to start off with something not so exciting. Well, the first part's exciting. When I was a kid, I was completely fascinated with duct tape. Now, I was fascinated with duct tape, and duct tape sort of shaped my life for two reasons. The first one is awesome because it was MacGyver, right? And everybody, like, you dig MacGyver, right? Like, love, crazy love MacGyver, right? Had the mullet. If you watch the opening sequence of MacGyver, he eats ice cream a particular way. I had that down, like he's kind of stand cool. White shirt, roll up the sleeves, that's important. That's what MacGyver would do as well. I wanted an army Jeep, and then later on I wanted an old truck. I wanted to live on a houseboat, everything MacGyver. Totally obsessed with MacGyver. That was me, geeky kid growing up. Now the sad part about duct tape and how it kind of formed who I was is actually when I was a kid, I was pummeled as a child. And I don't know if it was completely just a sort of solitary MacGyver fascination that I had or something like that. But I had a rough time. And duct tape, unfortunately, played a part in this as well. I was duct taped to toilets. I was duct taped to a wall at one point. My books, in a very creative ploy, they took and just duct taped all of my books out of my locker together and threw them in the garbage, and I was too embarrassed to go fish out my books out of the garbage. All of this started with one guy. There's one guy, I'm going to call him Eddie. Now, Eddie is not his real name, because I'm not that much of an asshole that I get up here and just tell the world, right? Hey, everybody, watch out for Eddie. So Eddie, it started when I was a kid. I was in 6th grade, and I saw a girl. It was a girl I had a crush on, so of course I saw her. I saw a girl on the playground getting picked on by Eddie. Now, I had been taught by my dad, especially like sort of the chivalrous act type of thing, is that if you see anyone getting picked on, but especially if you see a girl getting picked on, that you do something about it. So I did something about it, and Eddie floored me, man. Like a punch to the neck, I went straight down to the ground. I kind of laid there on the ground in the fetal position looking up. His friends are giving him high fives and everything, and they walk off, and I'm completely humiliated. I think, like, there is no way I'm going to recover from this now. Like, I got junior high coming up. 7th grade is totally rough, and the word's going to get out, right? Pfunder got neck punched for defending some girl on the playground. Let's get him. So I thought for sure that that's what I was going to run into. And I went home. I was sad that night. I sat down and I found solace in the television, of course, right? And that night, I kid you not, that night, what was on was the Academy Awards. Now, it was not this Academy Awards. I just put that on there because I always want to be like, it would be great to, all right, right? Like, it would be great to be him. I think it was actually Jack Nicholson, Terms of Endearment or something like that. It might have been Amadeus. But I remember sitting there watching the Academy Awards, and this tremendous idea came to me. Like, wonderful idea came to me. I thought, you know, I've got a plan now to get back at Eddie. Because I'm going to slip up and say his name, and if I do, I totally apologize because it's being recorded. I come up with this great idea on how I'm going to get back at Eddie, and I'll tell you what the idea was. It was public humiliation. And I vowed that day that what I was going to do is I was going to become an actor, and I was going to be so good at acting. I was going to be so amazing at acting that someday I would stand up, I would accept an Academy Award. Because what I saw was Jack Nicholson got up there and rambled on for 4 minutes about nothing, right? I would go up there with a cause. And I would get up there and I would make sure that Eddie knew at that time. I would make sure that Eddie's kids that he now has, because, you know, it's going to take a while, right? All the friends he's ever had, his boss knows, right? It's going to be like, Eddie, you're a douchebag, right? I was going to make sure that everybody knew that this is what's going to happen. So the next day, I auditioned for my first play. Now, I had a problem. Now, that was good, right? I acted. I did something. I moved. I took that first step. Now, I'm not suggesting that everybody have a dream and your dream is about revenge. Like, that's probably not a good idea. but you take the first step. So not even thinking, like, how am I going to pull this off? I just saw, oh, there's an audition. I'm going to go to an audition. And I auditioned. And I was not good at the audition, but I did get a part. Because I was a shy kid. I really was. Like, I wanted this stuff. I wanted to learn how to do this. I wanted to be gregarious. I wanted to be able to talk in front of groups of people and do these things. But I was completely overwhelmed by it. And after they gave me the part, and we did rehearsal and step by step and everything else, it quickly dawned on me that I was going to have to stand in front of this huge audience of people. And I thought the same thing that everybody else has been thinking. I thought the same thing today, knowing I was going to be here, right? The thing that I thought when I knew that I was going to have to stand in front of a group of people, right, is that I'm not the right guy to be doing this. Like, there are much better people to be up here doing this than me, and it's that talk, right? As soon as we make that first step, that first leap into doing something remarkable, we think about this. And we think, no, there's no way I'm going to be able to pull this off. I've got a list of excuses as to why I don't want to do this, why it's a really bad idea to pull this off. And I've always had those, and you've always had those, right? You've always had those lists of excuses. I've talked to so many people here, and it's great because everybody has this dream. They're like, you know what, I just want to live on an organic farm, and I'm going to move away, I'm going to raise goats. Completely fascinated with goats and baby platypuses or something, right? I'll put that stuff together, and that's what I'm going to do. And I want to do that, but you know what? I really just can't do it right now. Even though that's my dream, that's the thing I want to do. I just can't do it right now, right? I need to make a certain amount of money, right? Or I'll wait till the kids graduate from college, or I'll wait until something else happens. I just can't do it right now. Or I'm not good enough, or I have completely screwed up crooked pinkies. So those types of things, they kind of weigh on us. Now let me tell you about a guy. This guy here, this is my friend, Casey O'Connor. This is Casey and I right before an ultra marathon. It was my third 50 miler, I think, that I was going to run with him. Now Casey, I had run only a 5K, and I met him at a bar. Casey finds out I'm a runner. Runners do this. Totally tribal, totally freaky. They're not as bad as like CrossFitters, but like runners are totally the same. He hears that I ran a 5K, and he's like, dude, you're going to love this, man. 50 miles. I'm like, something's broken in you. Like, there's no way I'm going to do it. But Casey's really great because Casey's the type of guy where for some reason that, like, I'm a creep, right? It just doesn't click in. For some reason, it just doesn't register with this guy. He's always doing, he's always moving. Like, he sees where we're at, or he sees where he's at, and he sees where he wants to go. And what he does is he's like, okay, let's go. Like, that's it. Like, he just starts moving. Now, he doesn't just go out the next day and try to run a marathon, right? Just decide he's going to do it. But he starts taking those initial steps immediately. Like, he doesn't start to think like, well, there's this, and this, and I'm not going to be able to pull it off. He's like, that's what I want to do, and I'm totally going to do it. And that's always just been the way that he is. Now, for some reason, right, we get these ideas or these wishes that we have, and we just don't act on them. Like, we think maybe they'll come true if I just focus, or if I have enough money, or something will happen. And when we were kids, remarkably enough, like we were taught with many, many different stories that it doesn't work that way. That you have to do something, that you have to take an initial step. Not something huge, not something ginormous, but it doesn't work that way. And we've also taught over and over and over again that we have the power in us all along to pull these things off. I can say over and over again that I can't play guitar or play like social distortion songs or something like that because I have crooked pinkies. But the truth is, there are power chords, and somebody showed me those not long ago, and I realized I'm an idiot. Right? I could totally pull that off. Or I can't play piano because I have crooked pinkies. And I've seen people play piano with their feet. Right? And I'm coming up with these different excuses with this. That we have the power in us all along. In the case of Wizard of Oz, right? Everybody's wishing for something. If you read the book, it's really, really remarkable because in the book, everybody's wishing for something over and over again. And the things that they're wishing for, they illustrate throughout the entire book. Over and over and over again. The Tin Man cries when he steps on insects. What bigger heart could you have in that situation? The Scarecrow comes up with all of the plans to get over all of the canyons, to get through the fields, to get through everything else. And he always says like, I don't have a brain, but what if we try this? And he's the one that does it. The cowardly lion's the one that jumps over everything. He's the one that saves everybody. He's the one that steps up. They have the power in them all along. So what I'm suggesting today is that there's no more wishing. There's no more saying, like, you know, when people tell you something and they say, oh, I just traveled to India. And you're like, I wish I could go to... You can go to India, right? I wish I could play guitar. Pfunder, you can play guitar. I can play guitar as well as anybody else if I really want to. Because I have a list of the wishes, right? Everybody's got them. You got the bucket list. You got them all laid out of everything it is that you want to do, that you want to pull off, right? And that's really, really great. You put them all together. What I've got to stop myself from doing all the time is saying the I wish, because I can absolutely do it. They're just small steps, incremental steps, over and over and over again. One of my favorite words ever, and now this is an English language word, this is Polish. And I lived in Poland for a few years, and I learned this word, and it's the funniest word ever. The literal translation is already, right? So the word is już. It's a great word to say, już. You get it all up in the back of your throat and everything. It's great. It means already. So when people come to the door, somebody knocks on the door, and you can be like, już, meaning like, already, I'm coming. People use it as jokes as well. So somebody will be like, I got to stop eating these donuts before I'm fat. And then their friend will be like, już, like, too late. Yeah, already. You're, sorry, buddy, right? But it's one of my favorite words because this is something that we need to remind ourselves of. You can do it. Like, you can pull it off. If I got a tattoo, it would be już. It would just be that reminder over and over again. It's the thing that reminds me of Casey and what he does. Już. Like, you can already pull this off. You already have the power to do it. If you want to play piano, if you want to start meditating, right? You only have to meditate 30 seconds a day and then turn it into a minute. And then turn it into 2 minutes and then 10 minutes. You don't have to become the Dalai Lama overnight, right? It's just a little bit at a time. If you want to read more, people always say that. Those are the goals that they set for themselves. But then they set goals like, I want to read a book a week for the entire year. You're like, that's awesome, but you're not going to do it. I'm just going to read 2 pages, right? Or I'm just going to read 3 pages. And then you can pull that off. If I want to learn how to dance, I could learn how to dance. I'm going to share an equation with you really quick because my time's going over now. I'm really sorry, so I'll go quickly. This is one of my favorite equations of all time. What this stands for, and runners use this a lot if you haven't seen it. The DNS, right, in this case, it says did not start. The DNF is did not finish. And the DFL is dead fucking last. So dead fucking last, better than did not finish, better than did not start. You just have to start. In closing, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my daughter, and try not to cry in talking about it. My daughter decided she wanted to run cross country this year. And I knew it because I'm training her. She can't attend the practices, so I'm training her and I'm running with her. And I knew that first meet was going to be rough. And my daughter got out there and she ran and she ran, and I'm out on the course and I'm cheering her on. And she knows the equation. She knows the equation well. I've talked to her about it a lot. You know what happened to my daughter the first meet and the second meet? Right? In both cases. Dead fucking last. And then my daughter, when she sees me, right, at the very end of it, and we meet, we see each other, and she comes up to me and she's crying, she's excited. She's not upset at all about, she's not even a little bit upset about me. I'm like, oh no, how am I going to handle this? I know she knows the equation, but like she's going to freak out. She reaches up to me and she's crying. She says, I did it, Dad. Like, I ran the whole way. Like, I didn't stop. I didn't take a step. Everybody else starts walking the hills, not me. I'm like a robot, man. I'm just going to keep going and keep going. And so you keep moving. You keep moving. Where we start, where we're going, tally-ho. Now, that kid, short little bit at the end, right? I did to get into acting. I did those things. I kind of overcame this awkward stage and went after Eddie, I guess, in a weird sort of way. Made my way through the ranks and made it into high school. Eventually, I started writing all of the skits and all the programs that all of the Eddies had to perform in. It was great, right? Like all of the Eddie girlfriends were like, hey, will you write this stuff for them? Absolutely, I'll write this stuff for you. In my senior year, they decided to have me MC the senior sob assembly. It's the big one, end of the year. Everybody comes together. I had a jazz band that played Sesame Street songs. It was beautiful little jazz renditions and everything. It was like a David Letterman setup. All perfect. And I went to walk out, and it was one of those old gyms with the wooden bleachers that will like, they'll splinter when you throw like dodgeballs at them and things like that, and echo. I come walking out, huge school, And I come walking out, and I'm getting ready. The spotlight's supposed to come on. They're supposed to play Sesame Street music. But instead, I hear rock music playing in the background. And I was not a big heavy metal guy or a big hard rock guy, but I hear that music thumping in the background as I come around from outside, and I'm angry, right? At this point, I'm coming around to make eye contact with the people up at the top at the booth. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I stick my head out, spotlight right on me right then. And I come walking around, and I finally recognize what the music is. I kid you not, right? The kid that was pummeled, duct taped to toilets, all those types of things, right? Because I took that first step, this was the music that was going on. It was na 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 na. Right. The entire school, right? Pounding on those like na 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 na. Thunder, right? And I walk out, and as I'm walking out, I can see Eddie sitting there with his football jersey on and everything else going down. And I know he remembers. I know he remembers punching me in the neck. I have my John Hughes moment, Eddie, right? Where's yours? And I'm able to get out there, throw my hands in the air, and accomplish something really, really remarkable because I was ready and willing to take those steps. Remember, everybody, this has been a fantastic conference. You have the power to do it. You take those small incremental steps. There's something you can do today for whatever your dream is, whatever your wish is, whatever it is that you want to accomplish. Thank you so much.